All right, all right. I have a lot of drive today, so I'm trying to upload videos. I don't want to say as much as possible, but I'm trying to just go with the flow that I'm feeling, right? So in this video, I'm talking about astrological basics. I was taking a walk and this came to me, decided to share it with the world. Astrological basics, the basics of astrology, the basics of your natal chart. Your natal chart is compromised or composed of the planets, the signs, the houses, and the aspects. You're always going to see these four things in anybody's natal chart anywhere: planets, signs, houses, and aspects, right? The planets are going to be the baseline energy. The planets in astrology include the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. I'm not going to go over each of them, but the planets are just simply the baseline energy. So your sun determines your personality and your conscious behavior, right? The moon represents your instincts, your emotions, the soul, your relationship with your mother. The sun will represent the relationship with the father, right? Sun, moon, Mercury is going to represent how you receive information and how you give information, right? Do you talk fast or do you talk slow? So, all the other planets, Venus, relationships, Mars, aggression, etc., right? The planets are just the baseline energy. The sign that the planet is in is going to determine how that energy is expressed. So I have sun in Pisces, right? So the sun is your personality straight across the board. Somebody who has sun in Pisces is going to be different from somebody who has sun in Aries or sun in Leo or sun in Sagittarius. Their personality and their conscious behaviors are completely different, right? Pisces is a mutable water sign, whereas Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign. So there might be some similarities because they have the same modality. They're both mutable, but how they express themselves, their conscious behaviors, because one is a water sign and the other is a fire sign, are going to be completely different. So the planet is just the energy. The sign is how that energy is expressed. And the houses determine the area of life that the energy is focused in on, where that energy is fueled towards, right? The houses you honestly cannot determine unless you have your birth time. So the houses are extremely important because it shows you where to channel your energy. I have sun in Pisces in the 10th house. So before I knew anything about astrology, my energy was always channeled towards 10th house things, right? The 10th house represents your vocation, your career, your reputation, status. The sun, again, is just the baseline energy. So your personality, your conscious behaviors, paired with how it's expressed. Pisces is about spirituality, emotions, feelings, and stuff like that, are fueled into the area of life that is the 10th house. So I'm fueling this energy into my reputation, my status, my career. But like, this is just how you are from the time you were born. So before I was even aware of any of this is how my energy always expressed itself, right? And where it always expressed itself. Whereas if somebody was to have, let's do sun in the 5th house. If your sun is in the 5th house, that conscious energy, your personality, is going to be fueled and focused on 5th house things. The 5th house represents hobbies, and maybe you play sports like your whole life and stuff like that because your sun is in the 5th house. So sports, hobbies, leisure activity, drama, romance, flings, these things are where that sun's energy is going to be fueled or focused towards. Hope you guys are following along, right? Again, the houses cannot be determined unless you have an accurate birth time. However, I've been getting into the aspects in astrology a lot lately, and I'm seeing just how important the aspects are. Because even if you can't determine, or like you don't have your birth time, you can't determine the houses, there's a lot, so much information you can pull from the aspects in your natal chart. The aspects are what affects the energy. The aspects affect the expression of said energy. The aspects show your strengths, which would be like the harmonious aspects. Harmonious aspects include the trines, the sextiles, and in my opinion, the conjunctions, but some astrologers would say otherwise. And the weaknesses would be your squares or your oppositions. So again, the aspects determine what affects the expression of your energy and the strengths and or weaknesses. So for example, right, I have Sun in the 10th house in Pisces. We went over that, the planet, the sun, the house. So my sun is opposite my moon. Technically, this would be somewhat of a weakness, right? Because but you know, nothing is really good or bad or straightforward. Anyway, sun opposition moon in my chart is somewhat of a weakness. And this plays a role in how my sun's energy is expressed, that Pisces in the 10th house. Because I have that opposition there, it's going to affect how I express myself, how I express my personality, how I express my conscious behaviors, right? Whereas another aspect I have in my chart is like, I'm trying to think of a positive one or a harmonious one. I have Moon trine Neptune, right? So my moon is in Virgo. My Neptune is in Aquarius. Yes, my Neptune is in Aquarius. My moon is in Virgo. And that aspect, the trine, affects how my moon, my emotions and feelings are expressed. The moon trine Neptune would be somebody who is very psychic, who's like into astrology and all these things. So that aspect affects the expression of my moon sign in a positive way, whereas the opposition between my sun and my moon affects the expression of my sun sign and my moon sign in a way where I have to strive to create balance between my conscious behaviors and how I show up in the world and what I feel internally, the sun and the moon. So I feel like that was understandable. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. I will be back with more videos.